Hi, I'm Josh, CEO of Etsy. For nearly 2 decades, sellers like you have helped make Etsy the home for creativity and self-expression. Today, in a world with more automation and generic goods, Etsy's mission has never been more important, and you enable us to keep commerce human. We've grown a lot over the past few years. People flocked to Etsy during the pandemic, doubling our community in a relatively short amount of time. With tens of millions of new items and new customers, we needed to step up our operations in a big way, especially in areas like combating non-compliant listings. And while our investments in making Etsy a better, safer, and more joyful experience have been successful in many ways, we know there's more to do. To truly allow you and your unique items to shine for many years to come, we also need to protect and strengthen the magic of Etsy. We need to reinforce what we stand for so that everyone who comes to us understands why we're different and special. That's why today we're unveiling a series of updates across our policies, the shopping experience, and how Etsy shows up in the world. These updates center around, first, making sure we're crystal clear about what belongs on Etsy and why. Second, pulling that clarity through to the shopping experience. And finally, bringing you, the people behind the items, front and center to celebrate your role in the creative process. Let's start with our policies. Even as tools and technologies available to you have evolved, our stance on keeping Etsy the go-to place for original and special items hasn't changed. We've stuck to our core principles so creative entrepreneurs like you can easily connect with buyers looking for your amazing creations. But what we see today is that when people come to Etsy, they sometimes want more clarity about why the things they're seeing are allowed. And we've also heard that you want us to be clearer about our rules and enforcement. So we're taking the opportunity to articulate our policies in a simpler, easier to understand way. We've reorganized them into new creativity standards with 4 distinct categories based on the seller's role in the creative process. To be clear, this is about reinforcing and clarifying what's allowed on Etsy, not changing it. We are still not allowing items that were previously prohibited. All items must be either made, designed, handpicked, or sourced by a seller. For example, vintage falls into the hand-picked categories. And most craft and party supplies will live in the sourced by section. The consistent theme here is that items are infused with a human touch because that's what makes Etsy, well, Etsy. We understand that a policy is only as good as the efforts to enforce it. And we feel an enormous responsibility to remove items that don't belong on our site. We know this is also incredibly important to you and is one of the top things you've asked of us. Over the past several years, we've significantly scaled investments, resources, and capabilities in this space. Last year alone, we removed 4 times the amount of items that violated our handmade policy. We believe this new, clearer policy will help us to be even better going forward. The updated policy also paves the way for a better shopping experience. Our research shows that the top thing buyers want to learn more about is your involvement in your items. We've also heard from you, sellers, asking us to better distinguish between items crafted solely by you and items made using production partners or other tools. This way, your unique craft shines through. And so months ago, we kicked off an initiative that internally we call How It's Made. Teams across the company have been working to develop an ambitious plan to shine a brighter spotlight on you and your work while celebrating and uplifting amazing seller-made items for buyers. Let me walk you through what we're introducing now and what to expect next. Today, you might start to see new descriptors within item details on listing pages, showing whether the item is made, designed, handpicked, or sourced by your shop. As an example, this ceramic flower vase, handcrafted by Hester in New York, will say, made by Hester's Studio. Whereas this beautiful anniversary gift from Vera in the UK that was created with digital tools will now say, designed by White Oval Studio. Two items that clearly belong on Etsy, but are brought to life through very different processes. We've also made it easier for you to provide more details about your process in your listing form. You now have more options to choose from when it comes to sharing information about the materials and tools you use. Over the coming months, we'll also test ways to use this information to increase accuracy and expand the shopping experience for buyers with improved filters, new marketing experiences, and more. This work was inspired by you and how you bring your items to life. There are so many ways that can happen. Just take a look.
My own personal style is eclectic, it's colorful. Etsy for me was perfect for that because I knew I wanted to sell vintage. People know that if they want to source a particular pattern or an item, hey, go to Stan at that retro piece. If he doesn't have it, he'll find it for you.
When you buy a pair of my earrings, you're buying something that was made with my own two hands. Each time it comes out slightly different, even if you can't tell. And I think that's a beautiful and unique thing that comes with getting something handmade.
Keeping commerce human to me means that there is a real person behind the items that are being made. Sharing my process helps my customers really understand what goes into creating a piece.
My iPad has been my creative companion on Etsy for over a decade now. It's been my most trusted tool, and it inspires me to share my art all over the world.
We know that you want more agency over how to set up your listings for success. I'm excited to share that we'll soon give you more transparency and actionable insights than ever before into factors that can impact how you show up in search. We'll show you specific information like listing quality and completeness because it's important to surface high-quality items from shops that buyers can trust to keep them coming back to Etsy and shopping from you. Finally, we're turning the volume up loud to show the world how sellers like you make commerce better by keeping commerce human. We're putting Etsy sellers front and center in our latest marketing campaign and refreshed homepage. In the coming days, in the US and UK, you'll see real Etsy sellers on billboards and across social media, demonstrating the many different ways that you make, design, and handpick your items. You'll also see TV commercials featuring Etsy sellers and showing how valuable your human touch is in e-commerce today. Here's a look.
What does a robot know about love? How to translate that leap inside the human heart into something we can see and hold. The fingerprints we leave behind show how determined we are to give the world a piece of ourselves. Etsy.
Just as important as your connection to your items is your connection to the Etsy community. This year, our teams are excited to engage with you in new ways, like in face-to-face meetings around the world. And we're also bringing back seller favorites, like the Etsy Design Awards, which showcases the best of Etsy, and Etsy Up, our free virtual event for sellers that gives you tips and advice for running your shop. There's so much exciting work being done to help keep Etsy the best place for original goods from real people. And there's no one better to tell the world what creativity means today than you. Make sure to check out my full forums post for more details on all of these updates. And thanks for helping Etsy keep commerce human.